Hello and welcome to yet another episode in our committed campaign, which we have been following non-stop every weekday in prime time in NEWSX in partnership with Business World for the past 3 months. We have interviewed hundreds and hundreds of entrepreneurs, and I'll have to say to Anurag Batra today that, there was a quotation that sometimes fooling around into science is simply keeping a record. There is now a visual record of so many entrepreneurs, thinkers, economists, people who are invested in their own innovation, in becoming wealth creators that have been profiled here, that we have perhaps the single largest sampling that has ever been created in Indian television of what is the future of this country. Let's kick off yet another energetic telecast. Let me introduce everyone joining us on the broadcast. We have Mr. Raja Dasgupta. He is co-founder and chief innovation officer of Gen Z 360. Mr. PKD Nambiar, he's an entrepreneur and political analyst. Mr. Harshvardhan Didwania, director and co-founder of OMJ EV Limited. Kunal Gupta joining us, CEO and founder of Henny Harvin Education. Mr. Aditya Kothari, co-founder and chief strategist of Chingari. Ms. Preeti Vyas, chairwoman of the Vyas Gianetti Creative, and Dr. Anurag Batra joining us on the broadcast. Dr. Batra, we've set this up for us. What do we touch upon today?
Thank you, Rishabh. Good evening to all our viewers. We've been doing this discussion on where is the economy headed, what are the entrepreneurs doing to pivot, and is there a new thinking that is emerging that will help us deal with this new abnormal? Not the new normal, but the new abnormal. So let me start by asking Preeti. Preeti, we are talking on a day when, IPL has found a sponsor. Dream 11 has paid 222 crores to be the title sponsor of IPL. This is a brand which was born very, very recently. So really, do you think that will bring back the advertising and marketing spends and in some way revive the economy? Preeti Vyas.
Oh, absolutely. In fact, I think I was actually going to be talking about reaching a stage in this journey since March, which was about shock and panic, and then there was a stage where everybody was trying to cope with this new normal or new abnormal, as you call it. And then everybody got into a huddle saying, if this is a situation, how do we innovate? How do we get out of this? And now is a situation where people just need a little nudging, a little sort of push of confidence. And I think, like today, what you mentioned about IPL is definitely going to play an instrument in building the sentiment of confidence. And I think we're all ready to shift gears and move into an action zone. And these kind of things are would be definitely going to send out the right signals. Anurag, I think there are essentially 3 things which we need to focus on, to build that confidence. One is ease of living. It's a psychological, cultural issue. How can we actually make lives better? As a design thinker, this is the first thing I will think of, Ease of doing business, everybody talks about. But ease of doing business, again, there are so many interesting details. MSME keeps getting talked about, but really, genuinely, are MSMEs really prospering because of any of the new policies that have come about? Are they really effective? So I don't think ease of doing business is really up there. And most important, ease of availing healthcare. Just think about it. Nobody is going to step out and get into the normal till healthcare is something which they say is available, is of the quality that I desire. God forbid if I get something, I will get a bed, I will get a doctor, I will get the medication. These are things which are very, very important. So yes, coming back to you, confidence is very important, and these are the right signals.
And Preeti, do you see your clients, the clients that you advise on design, branding, advertising, communication, do you see them spending more than they've done in the last 5 months? Do you see at least till Diwali a temporary demand or a demand that continues beyond that?
We just did a big launch a few days ago for a big brand, Linen Club. And this we did through the entire lockdown. So again, as I said, people who going through the panic and coping are now beginning to say, we're not going to hold back anymore. We're going to move ahead. I definitely see things improving. I definitely see things by the time we reach, I think, the end of this financial year, I definitely see things brightening up much more than even the pre-pandemic days when the economy was in any case very slow.
Okay. Mr. Nambiar, you know that you cannot separate politics and economy. I use the term political economy. And now there is a debate on lives versus livelihood. When do you see the economy coming back fully? And how do you see demand coming back in the next 3 months? Mr. PKD.
Yeah, Mr. Batra, thank you so much for having me on the show. Let me tell you, use the term political economy. I think there can't be a better term to actually put it, because there is the economy and politics in a democracy like India is absolutely coexist, and they are merged together in a way. So if you really look at the data from the point of view of an economy, and if you collaborate that with the politics of today, because the politics means the policies of the government, especially in the abnormal or the normal, whatever we say in today's context. So if the July data, if you really look at the energy consumptions are slowly becoming very normal. So it's only just about a 1 point lower than the earlier term. So that means the people are trying to get out of from the houses and getting back to the normal, of course, with a lot of restrictions. There is a consumer good production is really becoming a very, very good, it's seeing a very, very positive side. But in the meantime, you will also see the capital good production is very, very low. It is still not come up. So that means the consumer driven economy we are, the consumer goods are, and the progress in that side is happening, but whereas the infrastructure, that is basically the one which will give a lot of employment and etc., that is still not been happening. So the broadly, I would say that the government policies to touch upon every aspect of economy from the last 3-4 months has started really giving some kind of a push. As Preeti said, that we are launching, in fact, my company is launching about 5 brands during this lockdown. In fact, we have, at least in the coming 3 months, lined up for every month we are launching a 1 brand, a 2nd brand, and a 3rd brand in a similar fashion. So overall, the economy is progressing, and a lot of credit for that goes to the political class and the government in power today. Because unless and until that positivism is shown, because especially I always say in most of the discussions that our economy is an emotional economy. It is not like a economy like in the Western world wherein only the fact and figures works, or but in our kind of an economy, the emotions works a lot. And giving every kind of an emotion driven economy a time to time boost and giving positive sentiments is really working very well on the ground. But as always everybody says that the kind of situation which we have been going through so far and we will be going through in the times to come is going to be a challenge. Another one more positive data which I could feel in the month of July is the unemployment rate as compared to the before the quarter of like from April, May, June. In the July, if you really look at the data, it is come down very, very much better. I mean, the ratio is come down quite drastically and it's going up. And steel consumption is going up. The cement consumption is going up. So that means broadly, we as an economy is coming back. But when will it come to the normal? This is something no economists or no politicians can predict as on today. But we feel that, I personally feel that the government and the industry put together, that means the policy and the hard work of the people on the ground, that is like people like you and me or the people in the MSME sector to the large corporates comes together, then there will be a huge change which will take place. Remember that we are a large consumer base of the world. So I think there is no. But even while saying so, there is one thing I feel that we need to work on very, very majorly. In fact, I think Preeti also mentioned about that why we, even being a largest economy, largest consumer base, we have not been able to get that kind of an investor sentiment from the global money is not coming to us as compared to the other people. I don't want to name anybody, but that is a big challenge which we need to discuss.
Okay.
If that also been taken care, I think we are almost there. We will come back And I think the government, and especially we have a leader like Prime Minister Narendra Modi, who is coming and talking to you at a crisis every day. You can see the leader every day in front of you, who is coming and talking to every Indian. So I think, and he also understands the basics of the people, the basic needs of the people, the pulse of the people. Pulse of the people, if a leader knows the pulse of the people, means he knows the pulse of the economy. We are almost there, but yes, it's a road which we all have to go through little, it's going to be a little more tougher one, but we will sail through, I guess.
Okay, Mr. Nambiar, we'll come back to you. Mr. Rajadas Gupta, give us your opening comments about whether the economic stimulus has reached entrepreneurs. You see it in your friends who are entrepreneurs getting it. What do you think has been the impact of the economic stimulus? And your comments on where do you see the economy going?
Thank you, Dr. Batra. I would like to take that first example which you had taken about IPL getting a title sponsor of a gaming company or an esports company coming in contributing. I think that's the first sign of development for us. The transformation is happening towards digital. Everybody is talking about transformation, getting into digital. People are talking about disruption. People are talking about new industries. I think that's the biggest example which we can give in the marketing and the advertising domain, that brands are ready to invest. But which are the brands which are ready to invest are the key areas. I think that's what we have to look at. Another area I think at the big bang would be, our focus was basically on the level of government's intervention in terms of creating stimulus packages, on recorrecting the economy in this L-shaped recession, has been more towards, our focus was on liquidity support, risk undertaking, instead of going overboard on spending. I think that's a game changer, which basically will bring down the India's debt, might even remain under control instead of, exploding unlike any other countries across the world who have actually gone overboard on spending and now would feel the pain. But in terms of correction, I think jobs will come back, but which kind of jobs come back? And Michael Dell had once quoted about 75% of the jobs which existed or exist now would be redundant tomorrow, out of which 50% of the jobs which are going to exist in 2030 has not been born. So I think the new education policy also is in line with creating such skills, which will actually give birth to new jobs, new industries, and I think we are kind of in the right track.
Thank you so much. Harsh, your opening comments. Have you seen the economic stimulus making an impact to any entrepreneur around you? And where do you see the economy headed? Harsh,
good evening, Dr. Batra. First of all, I would like to thank you for having me on the show. I would be a little different. My opinion is a little different than what other esteemed panelists have said. So the stimulus package that was declared by the Honorable Prime Minister has been welcomed by all the entrepreneurs, all the businessmen. But the problem with the stimulus package is that the interest deferment that they are looking at, the interest moratorium that they have given was only till the month of August. And now, which means from the month of September, you have to, all your financial obligations, all your interest payments will start. But I don't see the economy opening up or any business being able to suffice or to be able to meet their financial obligation from next month onwards. And moreover, the interest deferment that was given by the government, that is a little different on my fundamental logic. I am not an economist, but I'm a little different. What I feel, why does a bank or any financial institution give money or lend money? The whole purpose is for them to do business. They lend money to businessmen to business. When the entire country was in the shutdown, lockdown for 2 months, 3 months, there was no business happening, and I don't see any clear lines. The economy is opening up, things are opening, but the consumer sentiments are still very low, are in an all-time low. People are now no more spendthrift. They are trying to save as much as they can because they don't know how long will this pandemic go. Everybody is hoping for the economy to rebound and to be better, and we are also praying for the economy to be better than what it was before the pre-COVID situation. but the science in the ground is not that. People, as somebody else also said, that people, the consumer goods are improving, but the capital goods, people are trying to defer the expense, trying to defer the investment as much as they can. And I don't see the economy or the businesses to be able to meet their financial obligations from next month onwards. So the government has to come up with a more robust policy or a more robust package in order to support local entrepreneurs, local businessmen to be Atmanirbhar and be able to fight this COVID situation. And without the support of the government, it will be very difficult for MSMEs or other businesses to be able to sail through this difficult times.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Harsh, for putting your view so comprehensively. Kunal, your opening comments. You're in a sector that has really benefited from the lockdown. EdTech has galloped. So tell us, how's your company doing? What are your plans? And how do you see the environment helping EdTech? And dare I say that too many players, it's bound to see a lot of players not doing well. So I would want a comment on that from you.
So let me, first of all, certainly thank you so much, Dr. Batra and the esteemed panelists with whom I'm sharing the screen. It has been a great honor. So let me put my views in two perspectives over here. So first perspective talks about the green side of the story. So we have been in the EdTech space for the past 7 years. And we have seen two cycles. The first cycle came when the EdTech sector was solely on classroom, and they were then migrating towards the online in the second phase. And the third cycle now, which we're currently in, is where the internet connection is penetrating all corners of the world. And when God wants us to go online, with pandemic coming in, I would say the penetration of the EdTech sector has grown further, and I don't see that this growth is kind of a temporary growth. It will certainly go further with geo penetrating further and with fiber getting spreaded to all corners of the world, of the country. I'm sure that this growth will soon, it's just a start point and will soon go to the next level. So on one side of the story, we see the very good optimistic side, a green side of the story. We also have the red side of the story in the education sector, where the classrooms have been shut. So I'll just share our own experience. So we almost had the best quarter. The last quarter, we were almost 48 days post the last quarter, and we had the best quarter, the Q1. But things were not the same in March. We were surprised when colleges all of a sudden announced that they'll be shutting down. So we are into both college business, corporate business. We do individual sessions. So we were like, B2C would go fine, but what about B2B? What about corporates? What about colleges? What will happen to them? So that's where I would say that now with entrance exams getting postponed, the internships getting postponed, everything going the other way around, classroom sessions, classroom side of the EdTech has actually seen a huge impact, and that's where that's where I would say the integration of the digital side and the classroom side is very important. I don't think so that the HR policies is soon going to be the same. In HR policies, we have sick leaves, we have other leaves, we also have work from home leaves here, where people will go for work from home. Similarly, I would say even in the classroom, which happens in colleges, soon there will be inculcation of maybe 50% of the curriculum, or one side of the curriculum will be delivered through classroom. So I would say that
it will be a hybrid model. Yeah.
It will be a hybrid model. Like for example, even employees, I'm sure it's very difficult to get them back to the city. Those who have already gone back to their hometowns during COVID, and especially we have been into lockdown since March, and we continue to remain for the next few months. In any case, there has not been a significant impact for us. But I would say that things will be very different in the coming future. And talking about our own growth plans, so we actually have launched over 30 courses in the past. We have almost doubled the number of courses we had in the past few months. We have had a 70% growth in terms of our employee strength, both in terms of our Indian market and US market. So we have been able to scale up further, and being in a space where you have upgrad who have been very aggressive. That way, I feel that the awareness of our industry has gone further, and the inculcation of digital has gone further, and colleges have actually tried to re-innovate themselves by infusing the online delivery. Like you see colleges, they are now who are suffering big time on their revenues, and in fact, governments announcing relief for schools. Colleges and schools have found another new way of generating revenue by partnering with institutions, with edtech companies like ours, and enabling a batch to be built through online delivery of degree programs. So I would say things will renovate further, and the edtech sector would I would say it's not yet saturated. We still can have a lot of players coming in. We are into adult education. We are soon getting into school education as well. And I would say that that edtech sector would fuse in, wherein I'm sure that the companies who have traditionally been targeting K to 12 would soon further target beyond 12, because they have the data, they know the kids who have graduated from 12, and they would then be going for the upskilling programs. So I would say there's opportunity all out there, but we also have to be cautious in terms of the jobs which are there outside. Yesterday, in fact, I had a webinar with Christ University, and the students, they were very curious how jobs will be after the COVID-19 once vaccine is out. So I had a very clear suggestion to them that you guys will be graduating in June 2021, and you never know, the tourism sector, hospitality sector, which is visible right now as in a very bad shape, would have a turnaround, right? The people who are in
whole new world
altogether.
And I really believe that the real test of edtech will be when Corona is gone. Hopefully, there is a vaccine, so the schools are open. Then we'll see how much is being actually used by both students and by professionals to upgrade them. So we'll come back to you. Sure. We'll take the last panelist's opening comments, and then we'll open up to a discussion.
Aditya, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Thanks a lot, Mr. Batra, for having me. My opinion over here is a little different. Having been in the startup ecosystem for the last few years, I think it's good and bad. First of all, the government, I think, is doing its best, right? I mean, we keep talking. We've been studying this in our books as well. The government is nothing but by the people, for the people. I mean, they're doing their best, but what I really see has changed drastically right now is the kind of support. You know, I've seen a lot of, we've been seeing and we've been helping each other. When I say each other, I'm talking about startup companies, right? So even though we're in the same space, a lot of them, we are not competing each other, but we are completing each other, right? Because one of the biggest reasons is, hey, we all know that end of the day, we are humans, right? Money is secondary, everything is secondary, but how do we help each other grow? Because if we are not growing together, the space is anyway not going to be there. But what I also see is there's a huge shift in the way people work, right? I mean, there were pre-COVID, people used to say that, hey, remote working is great, but then I think we've all realized that it's brilliant. I mean, you save infrastructure costs, you save office costs. There's a lot you could do, right? I mean, so that's one of the biggest advantages. Of course, apart from what's happening, I'm not going to talk the bad side of things, because we all know what's happening. Like Kunal just mentioned, right? The education space is just boom. I was talking to my friend the other day. The kind of savings they have on the schools and colleges is just mind blowing, right? You save interest, like I said, the importance of online education is being realized now, like Kunal was mentioning, right? The importance of talent, like we at Chingari provide a lot of talent. We have singers, dancers, content creators from across the city, across the tier 2, tier 4 towns as well, right? I just feel as it's a human behavior. Unless you don't get that nudge and push, you don't realize things.
Okay.
This is really bad what happened, but I think we are living in World 3.0, like I said, right? I mean, we would pre World War I and then post World War, and now this is what.
Okay, so let me just flip this around. You know, Aditya, why don't you talk us through, because where are you guys standing at Chingari now? For viewers watching, you know, this is your new video sharing app, and if you haven't downloaded it, download it now. 10 million plus was the last count. Where are you now, Aditya?
So we are somewhere around 27 million plus downloads, plus users, active users. We have 20 million plus videos being watched every day. And the best part is we have content creators and media and macro influencers, like we call, from the remotest of towns that I have not heard the name of, which is, I mean, this is the beauty of the online platform they basically built, right? So what we basically trying to do with Chingari is we're giving a platform for micro and macro influencers to be the stars, the so-called celebrities, because I mean, they've not really got a chance to go to the mainstream Bollywood, Tollywood, Collywood, right? And they really have so much potential.
Yeah, but Aditya, you know, have you got the critical mass you guys feel that, you know, when competition comes back into this space or comes into aggressively into this space, that, you know, you'll be now then too big, you will be, you know, the brand that everybody else is trying to copy?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, competition is there everywhere. I mean, it doesn't really matter. It's the kind of product you build and the kind of consumers you've acquired, which we are doing, and we've done that. So it doesn't really matter what if the competition comes back or where we are, because we are just making the best product and the best tool and giving it to the content creators across.
Okay, what's go to market?
And Rishabh, if I may add, I mean, in their space has heated up. Mitro has just raised 5 million. Trell has raised almost 12 million. I know a couple of apps being done by very good entrepreneurs, going to be launched soon in this space. It's going to get very competitive and very crowded.
And so it's going to become, it's going to be about critical mass.
TikTok, then as you Rishabh rightly say, there will be a big shakeout. So what I want to ask is, all of you is, what are you doing to deal with big players entering edutech? You know, I know that some of the largest players in the e-commerce business are entering edtech. In the content business are entering edtech. And the reason Byju's pays 300 million for White Hat Junior is one way to kind of snap it up before they can snap it. That's why the price is so high. So tell us, I want to ask this to Kunal, what is your differentiator in edtech with other players?
All right, so how we are taking it is, we are trying to create a community out there. So we have integrated membership programs wherein we are helping our participants actually build up, go into the careers directly by targeting at the grassroots level. So we are focusing on guaranteed internship programs. We are focusing on programs such as mini MBA programs for teenagers. We are focusing on content writing for women. So we are focusing on maybe niches that traditionally have not been targeted by the biggies of the industry, nor is their focus. We are trying to create new markets out there. Number one. Number two, we are trying to maybe offer value in terms of nurturing their skills after they go through the courses, because most of the edtech focuses on maybe the main delivery of the program of the course and not post delivery when you actually see the benefits of it. And that's where our main focus is, that after they do their sessions is when they need the real handholding.
But Kunal, what is, again, I was asking the same question to Aditya. You know, it's about critical mass, right? I mean, at what point of time do you become, you know, like Byju's had that success? It's got a brand value now. Is your go-to-market strategy something similar? Are you doing a B2B strategy where you're approaching schools and colleges? Are you going directly to parents? What are you doing?
So our primary focus is...
Kunal, go ahead.
Okay, so our primary focus is majorly towards the B2C sector because that's where you have infinite market, and we are just trying to target the Indians out there in the Middle East, in Australia, and US market. We are targeting for people looking for home jobs. So we are targeting niches which traditionally have not been targeted by the biggies and is not in their current focus. And we are trying to innovate by offering something new out there and trying to maybe handle them when they actually need it.
Okay.
So that's kind of
I'm going to come back and question you on this, whether you become a scale and then the one of the established biggies buys you out, or do you buy them out? I'd love to have that conversation.
He's already smiling.
No, he might buy them out. Maybe he buys out one of the biggest university chains in the country. Could happen. Let's get Harsh back into this. Harsh, for our viewers watching the broadcast, can you tell us, EV India? I mean, tell us about the firm.
So, we are a startup company which is based out of Bhubaneswar, Odisha. It is on the eastern side, and it is quite abnormal that we as an automobile company have come on the eastern side. None of the automobile companies are there on the eastern part of India. And we started our production, we started our R&D 2 years back, but we started our production only from October 2019.
So what are you guys making? For people watching the broadcast, what are you guys making?
We are making electric two-wheelers. EV India, our products are completely equipped with artificial intelligence. We are giving a 5 years warranty on a product to ensure that the consumer safety concerns are met. Our products have been designed keeping in mind the expectations and the of the Indian two-wheeler customer from the product. So our products are a complete next-gen product.
So who are you looking to supply? Are you looking to supply, end user consumers, or are you looking to supply agencies that want to set up these electric sort of exchange facilities all over the country?
We are opening our own dealership outlets. Right now we are present in more than 55 locations from the Eastern India, 9 states. We are opening up our dealerships and we are targeting the end customers. We are targeting the B2C sales. The Indian two-wheeler market is of near about 25 million units per annum, which is combined put together internal combustion and electric vehicle per se. And due to the COVID pandemic, the perception towards electric vehicle was as it is a sunrise industry. And thanks to this
Okay,
COVID
so
pandemic,
we are assuming that all the promises that have been made that EV will be 2030 is the coolest thing are going to happen. Let me quickly get Mr. Dasgupta into this comment. Mr. Dasgupta, you know, a studenting era and of course Gen Z 360. Can you tell our viewers, you know, what is it that you and your team do?
Yeah, sure. So I think we are a perfect example of a combination of an education company moving into influencer marketing company. So, and eventually we want to be in the social commerce space. So I think when we started off, we were an education company like Harvin or like a mega store, which we aspire to make it like a Baiju's. A share of revenues is to come from students, and the influencers remains the parents and the teachers.
Yeah.
What we realized working with them for over about 2.5 years is that, you know, the market is gradually moving from, you know, a student spending from their pocket on vocational learning vis-a-vis to spending on formal education. And with this new education policy, you will see a lot of colleges and universities are actually adapting those vocational learning inside their curriculum. So, you know, I mean, most of the edtech companies in isolation, if they're looking at a retail as a space, I'm talking about retail education as a space, now we'll be looking and amalgamating and getting into the formal education space.
Okay.
What we realized and we moved forward, and give me a minute to explain how we thought that, you know, this youth basically, they would not spend even 100 rupees on any additional learning, but they will spend 100 rupees on a Subway burger. So the importance was to increase the share of wallet.
Okay.
And that's how we wanted to leverage our collaboration and our subscription base, and we gradually moved into building the same set of people
maybe
who
if
are
you,
actually
if you
micro-influencers to make them influencers.
Yeah, it's going to be the kids. I could have told you that for free, Mr. Dasgupta, that if you tell kids that pay us money to study more, they'll probably say, I'm going to Subway instead. Mr. Nambiar, you know, you mentioned you have a lot of projects and brands.
No, I meant what I meant was that now we are empowering them.
Right. So they want to do it.
We are empowering them with financial independence.
I'm speaking to students, including employees, and telling them, you know, now since you're working from home, maybe you have extra time which you save, you know, in transportation. Think of doing an online degree right now. It's not a bad option. Mr. Nambiar, you mentioned you have a lot of products and brands coming up in the pipeline. What's happening?
See, I must start with, while congratulating the success of Singari. Whenever somebody, I started my startup during the dot-com real boom when in 2000, and which was starting with the dot-com actually, and which was supposed to be a success of that time. But whenever now, maybe after 16, I mean almost 18, 20 years being in the business, one thing which really scares me, because being a marketing strategist, I have created more than about 150 brands which are pretty successful. Which scares me is the word boom. The moment I hear a word boom, I know that it's going to collapse. And let me tell you, Rishabh, a lot of startup people who comes to me, I mean, I used to say once upon a time that I'm a startup specialist. I stopped saying that, the word startup specialist. The reason being, most of the startups coming up with new ideas are not really new. They are not really the need of, even if some of them are really a need of today, it is not a sustainable business model for the future. So people have, so this is something which because it's a wonderful panel and I wanted to really put it across that let's not carry away and let's not spread the message that one of the success is not really the success. And especially in an economy like India, which is a large country, the failures are so big.
Yeah,
so when we, especially with the education sector, I wanted to tell you that I have created an education portal for a US client of mine about 13 years ago. And that time when I put up a video, it was having a content of 900 hours of video. I'm talking about 13 years back. You will be surprised if you open up that video there, and I have to go and get a copy of mine to that to happen here in India. So I think the technology should be used from the point of view for purpose. Otherwise, the moment it becomes just for the purpose of using it.
So for future technology, think about it. And if you already know,
I wanted to tell you,
if you already know, Mr. Nambiar, I'll invest my 100 rupees.
Because we will be. No, Rishabh, actually these techs are not really becoming a part of a core economy. Till the time they are not becoming a part of a core economy,
Okay, I think it's happening right now. I think with an example of a Chingari or a Dream 11 where we began the conversation, you know, I think it's happening right now. A quick last word before I take a 1-minute break. Preeti ji, you know, watching this happening, and why don't you take up from Mr. Nambiar, are we seeing these, you know, sort of disruptor unicorns in making, startups becoming the job drivers of the next 1 year, and therefore they become so important to the economy because they are the ones hiring our young people?
Oh, I think whilst I would agree with you, indeed they would, but I don't think that the old economy is going away anywhere. The old economy is reinventing itself. And one of the things that we are doing with a lot of our, old economy clients, new economy clients, is actually do design thinking workshops. And design thinking is an amazing tool to have, which actually innovates from the perspective of the end consumer, not assuming that this is my business and this is what I want to do. But these are the people, this is the situation they are in, and this is what they want to actually evolve their lives and make their lives better. Then can your product, then can your service fit into that? In 1 month, we did some 3 design thinking workshops, and amazing results came out of that, And one of the things that he also mentioned is that people think they're doing something completely radically new, but a lot of it is just adaptation or copying something else which already exists,
Okay.
So I think the true innovations are yet to be seen. I think that it's all very well to ladder up with something that somebody is doing and sort of copying it a little bit and tweaking it a little bit, but I think the time now is for radical idea shifts.
Okay, let's come back and discuss those radical idea shifts. Maybe I need to be thinking a radical idea shift of a NEWSX account on Chingari, to reach his audience there. It's probably going to happen. So I have to think about it. Anurag Batra, what are the radical ideas coming out of your brain? What can we do? And where do I put in my 100 rupees? Do I back all of you? That's all I've got, 100 rupees. I'm a journalist, poor, always poor.
Rishabh, these days you also have to look at very simple ideas.
Yeah.
Like cost has to be less than revenue. It's a very radical idea. If you look at it.
It's a radical idea these days. Okay. All right.
Yeah, because in funding abundance, this wasn't an idea that most people consider. Second, I say, I believe that the time for reverse mentoring has come. People like Harsh should be mentoring me. That's when I'll get a real idea. Sometimes we in the traditional businesses are so used to doing businesses in a certain way, and they may have worked. We need to be kind of a Shiva. We need to do creative destruction before we can create. And the third thing I'd like to say is that while a lot of people have jumping into ideas, it's about staying power. You alluded to it. What if in your sector there is a 1,000-pound gorilla that enters who can lose money for the next 5 years, acquire every other company that they can, and build what you have so he doesn't have to acquire you.
Let's become predictive on this.
So what will you do?
Okay, just take the example right now. Mr. Dasgupta, help me out on this.
What happened to TikTok can happen to others also.
Well, yeah, that's true, and then they are now going through a radical shift. Maybe will become Indian-owned, US-owned. Who knows what's going to happen later? Mr. Dasgupta, radical ideas. Facebook began in what Anurag Batra just said, simplicity. It was a simple idea. It was not a very complicated idea. And now it's become a behemoth. If you read all the studies, they tell you that the younger audience is coming out of Facebook. It's the older audience that is staying on over there, and they're shifting to the the TikToks, the Chingaris, the Instagrams. I think Insta Reels is the other one coming up. So is there a radical shift happening, or are companies like Facebook undestructible? They're just there. They're just so big, 2.5 billion users. They ain't going anywhere.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, what do you think, sir? Go ahead.
Yeah, am I audible?
Yes, you are. Go ahead.
You are.
Yeah, it's absolutely, because I think we are no more in legacy-driven business. We are no more in a world where legacy can be taken for granted for years. A biggest example is Jio. I think nobody thought that Kirani shops will be again re-emerging when everybody is talking about big basket and grocers of the world. I think leveraging technology would be the key. Disruption can only happen when you leverage technology.
So where do we hunt for the radical ideas? Because, you know, where do we hunt for them? Are they going to come be simple ideas, as Anurag Batra is saying? They come up with a simple idea. Is it going to be technology driven, that it's going to be AI generated? Some computer will be telling us what the next idea is.
So emotion side, obviously humans will obviously rule, and the analysis side, obviously technology will rule.
Okay.
And IoT, AI would always remain as an enabler and as a tool. But the radical ideas will obviously come into simplistic ideas, which will be much more relatable to people.
Nice.
Like for example, automation of the Kirani store and making e-retail available to people. You might be getting your groceries, you'll be applying through an app, but we'll be getting your groceries from your local
guy. Yeah,
shop.
there are lots of apps already working on this.
I think radical ideas will be coming when it's
I'm going to come
relatable
back
to people.
And pick up on this in your space. So, Preeti ji, you mentioned it. Are you seeing people coming to you with radical ideas? Is it a visionary kind of approach where you have I'm Steve Jobs and I'm pitching a vision that there should be a desktop in every household? Is that radical, or is it simply the way we're delivering services today or knowledge radical? Ma'am, just unmute yourself, please.
You'll have to unmute yourself.
I think that it's really not reached that level yet. A lot of people come to us is that we really need to do something in the situation we're in. We have several ideas, which is when we do the workshop, where we enable them to then mine the insights to get the kind of idea which have the potential to become big. And sometimes we are just sitting on a great idea but not thinking about it, because it's maybe the most obvious one. You know, like Anurag said, sometimes it's the simple ideas which are there, which are so strong. So to your question, the answer is not quite there, but everybody is wanting to do something, and that's a great place to be.
Me included. I'm also thinking of some radical ideas every time I'm trying. Remaining awake and
you
worrying
and I
about tomorrow news. Tomorrow news. I need that design thinking workshop of yours, I think. Okay.
Design thinking workshop for you.
Okay. Let me get Aditya back. And Aditya, what is then the strategy here? I mean, are we talking? I mean, when you guys are sitting and doing your internal logics, one of course is localizing content and designing something that is marked for an Indian audience. When you look at behemoths that you were taking on, right now, you had one competition which has been put off the radar for an extended period of time. But when you say, okay, these guys had an idea, they built it to something, but we can do better. What is the better that you find?
I mean, I would just say that every business has a scope of improvement, right? I mean, before Facebook there was Orkut, before Orkut there was someone else, right?
Yeah, MySpace and yeah.
Orkut didn't go to a scale in terms of profits or number of subscribers like Facebook.
Yeah, same thing with Facebook. MySpace, same thing.
Get the point?
Orkut was the idea. Orkut was an idea, and then the people worked on.
Idea has become a business in case of Facebook, whereas it has done an IPO. Whereas Orkut stayed an idea. It did not become a business.
I think the Google guys bought it and shut it down. Yeah, so Aditya, so I mean, how are you guys going to do it better? Now, one is scale, which you're getting right now, okay? So I'm guessing, how many million people are you adding a day?
He said
what's 27
million.
27 million plus users that we have.
Okay.
So yeah, I think the biggest advantage being small and nimble is that you're flexible, right? You can make thousands of experiments and sort of release something that works. You get to talk to your customers and users directly, right? Imagine if we had to do this at the stage of a big player like a Jio. It would take me months and years to do that, right? And that's what we do. I mean, we're working on experiments. We are talking to our users, our 27 million users, going back to them and saying, hey, what would you really need, right? So it's not about whether you're competing with the giants. I mean, we are flexible. We are turtles.
No, I love it when an Indian entrepreneur comes and tells me 20 million users a day, we are small and nimble. That's a very happy sign if you consider that small and nimble. Kunal Gupta, why don't you come in? I mean, the radical ideas. I mean, in the field and structure that you're in, some people say, okay, we are content generators. Other people say, look, we are technology solutions. We are making it easier to access that content. Amidst all of this, what's the radical idea? Do we have to just become better at what we do, or do we have to completely uplift the system?
Prajat, if you just search through the internet, you will find the invitation card of Steve Jobs which he had given to people at the age of 30 when he turned 30. So he said in his invitation card, for the first 30 years of your life, you make your habits. And for the last 30 years of your life, your habits make you. So similarly, I would say the kind of habits we are developing at this point of time, while we are at home, we are generating this habit of working from home. We are generating this habit of being less social. We are generating this habit of maybe living at home, maybe more home driven. So I would say that is something that is where the next set of ideas are going to come. Like for example, I was stressing upon the importance of work from home. The work from home, study from home, as it's becoming the new normal, is where I would say design thinking would be implemented. I would say maybe ideas in the field of maybe writing, ideas in the field.
But since the word radical was used, radical to me would mean that I can do my education start to finish. Right now we are still using you guys as an app, whether through school or otherwise. But in the end, I have to give my CBSE boards, right? Or my college exams. The radical would become start to finish. When do we see it become start to finish? Kunal?
I would say that earlier we were envisioning the edtech sector to be in that space by 2030, but I would say we have been maybe pulled faster by at least 5 to 7 years. Okay. And maybe the next elections, the elections of 2024, when the US elections and the Indian elections are going to happen at the same point of time for the first time in maybe a century, is actually the turn point.
The radical idea is all in a country where we can't do, what is it, our e-voting machines, whether we can vote online. That would be a radical idea. Harsh, why don't you comment on this? I mean, what is radical? Is radical Elon Musk radical? I want to send my...
vote through Facebook.
Facebook is not controversial these days. Anurag Batra, for you to have mentioned it on this show. But Harsh, what is radical? Is it Elon Musk radical that I want to be setting up a network of satellites, 30,000 satellites to give me internet? I want to send my car to Mars. What does radical mean now?
I feel electric vehicle per se has been a radical idea in the automobile sector. You guys, everybody would be reading around the past few months or past few years, all the automobile giants in the country were totally against electric vehicles. They were opposing that India doesn't have proper adequate infrastructure or proper facilities for electric vehicles. But still the people's perception, people's mindset changing towards electric vehicle has been a radical idea. And what I feel the only thing that is constant in today's time is change. Every business or every
that's the theory, because I have friends who have pre-ordered Teslas. Okay, I don't think they haven't seen it in 3 years. I don't know when it'll ever come here. But Harsh, the logic is not only that the infrastructure part. A lot of the entrepreneurs in your field were simply waiting for the government to come up with a subsidy plan for EVs, and that's been a major grouse. Are you seeing that happening? Is that radical?
Subsidy can be an advantage for electric vehicles, but subsidies can't be the only thing that can drive electric vehicles in this industry. Electric vehicles per se have a big advantage compared to IC engines. You don't have to go to petrol pumps, you don't have to go stand in queues, you don't have to spend 80 rupees for a liter of fuel, which is expected to again go up in times to come. But the electric vehicle, the mindset,
it makes us independent of oil. That's the radical idea there. But we don't have the infrastructure right now, which is why many of us would not buy the electric car right now. We would buy hybrid.
It's a chicken and egg story. Which came before? Was it the chicken?
I promised myself last time that the next car I would buy was an automatic, no more gear shifting. I've done that. Next one, promise you electric. Okay, I'll come to you. Hopefully, it'll be a 4-wheeler model by then. Mr. Nambia.
I'll be waiting.
Okay, Mr. Nambia, radical ideas before I hand back to Anurag and he'll take you to the last round. Yeah. Mr. Nambia.
See, I have, since, as I said, most of the people who are in this panel are more talking about the tech and the thing. My issue with the larger perspective, being a tech person myself, tech is now becoming just a trend. And that really worries me as a businessman, because a trend always keeps changing. Tech should be an enabler rather than just a trend. So the moment we all start using tech just from with all due respect to all the other panelists, the 1 million, 1 billion hits will go off in seconds. In the same speed which is gone up, it will also come down. So unless and until the technology is used as an enabler to improve the quality of people's life, the tech is created and meant for, as a technology, as an technology architect once upon a time myself, unless and until we create technologies, think as a technologist.
Okay.
From the point of view of enabling people's life better.
I'm all for. What is it?
What is happening today?
Yeah.
Rishabh, 1 minute. Rishabh, 1 minute. What is happening today is the worrisome is that technology is becoming like a trend, which is like a fashion, which will come and it goes. So one of the very major interview of Mukesh Ambani, he said, I simply love that idea that the average life of enterprises are coming down not more than 5 years.
Good point.
Whereas the average life of companies used to be 30 to 35 years.
That's a good point.
So unless and
okay, says the experienced survivor of the dot-com bubble, advising the young tech entrepreneurs.
Years of an average life, if the businesses do not have it, I must tell you, these companies are not going to.
Okay, guys, start investing in the.
It is rather doing wrong to the economy than doing good.
I think
every one flaw. Remember what happened Enron, the power sector in the US.
No, as an Indian, I don't want to remember Enron. We know what happened here also, sir. But maybe guys, what Mr. Nambiar is saying is that hydroponics and aquaponics is the future. Okay, it's tech-enabled agriculture. Go for it. Go for your startups there. Okay, we got 5-6 minutes left. Anurag Batra does a rapid fire. Sir, go ahead.
Rishabh, this is the most energetic panel we've had in a while. I want to ask all the panelists the same question. Where do you see demand in the economy in the next 90 days? Tepid like it is now, better or worse? Or you can take the same for the economy.
Okay.
I start with you, Raja Desgupta. 90 days from now, will the economy be worse, better, or tepid like now?
No, I think we've kind of realized that the challenges are going to start now, because there were a lot of avenues which were given by the government, and survival for the fittest would be the way forward in the next 90 days. I think, as Jack Ma said, survive for 1 year and the road ahead would be very easy. I think
if you have that many $1 billion in your bank, it's a very good statement.
And if you're not running a media organization, then that might apply.
Yeah, but I think the next 90 days would be more towards consolidating and ensuring that you're working smart on this.
But give me a direct answer. Will the economy be better or worse, or tepid like now?
No, currently I think it will stay stable. I won't say better, because I think it's yet to come. But there are a lot of disruptions which are being seen. So people will learn how to adapt to the challenges which is going.
Of course, that we have to. Preeti asked, economy good, better, worse?
Definitely. I think that we are getting into a place which is better. We're going to be finding our land legs, let me put it that way. And the sentiment is definitely on the improvement side. Having said that, are we going to be completely out of the woods? No, but the sentiment is definitely going to get stronger. The confidence is definitely going to be there.
Aditya?
I think it's just going to get better, having given the situation we are in, and now we're used to living like this, right? So I think it's just going to get better.
Okay. And Aditya, while you've seen increase in subscribers, have you seen an increase in revenue? That's a question I'd like to ask you.
Well, we have plans on monetization, and you'll get to know when we do it.
Okay. Kunal Gupta, economy better, worse, or tepid in 90 days?
Definitely better, definitely better. We have the festive season coming in. That will have certainly a big impact. There is positivity around, not only in the minds of the management, business owners, but also of the employees and the individuals. And things are opening up, right? People know that COVID is not going to go anywhere. It will stay with us for the next a year or so. So definitely better, no doubt about that.
PKD Nambiar?
With the kind of leadership in place, and with the kind of positivities coming out day in day out, I think I have no reason to believe that we are not going to be. And the July data for me, the economic data is really a booster. Of course, there are challenges which we will come through. And as I said, we are an emotional economy than a typical factual economy or a hardcore Western economy. We will immediately come back, and we have the large consumer base. If they come out one day, then I think the turning around time will be faster than anybody else. Any other economy, we will be coming out faster than anybody else.
Okay. Harshvardhan, final word for you.
See, what I believe, we have already been through the worst phase of the economy. As it is, the Indian economy was on a slowdown, was going on, and thanks to the COVID pandemic, it has been to an all-time low. So I don't think there's more for us to see. So I only think and pray for good days and better days to come. And it is, as an individual, as a citizen of the country, I believe it is the responsibility of each and everyone to collectively work towards. It's just not the government or the businessman. Everybody in the economy, every citizen has to work collectively towards the betterment and the betterment of the country in the next 90 days. And I think the economy should open up and should be better in times to come.
Okay,
I think to add on to that, I think like they say, when you're at the rock bottom, the only way to go is up. So I think we are at rock bottom, and we're just going to get improving.
Okay, I'll make my pitch for viewers watching. Speak to your schools. Make sure that they have a Henry Harvin education module working in your school or university near you, or are working with Mr. Das Gupta's company for career building, or with Mr. Nambiar in brand building and marketing, or with Preeti ji. Now we know that we have to do thinking on design futures, and with Harsh, hopefully you buy your first electric two-wheelers from him. Make sure you read Business World and watch NewsX. And my revenue plans for the next 1 month is I'm going to try to win that 1 crore on that Chingari app competition that these guys are doing. I think that's my revenue plan. And with that, let's take a break. Thank you all of you. It's been a great conversation.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.